Good evening and welcome to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I'm Travers Mackel. Tonight we are continuing our hot seat debates, and it's a really big one tonight. The race for City Council District E. That district is obviously all of New Orleans East and the lower 9th Ward, currently held by Oliver Thomas. He vacated that seat to run for mayor. Two people made the runoff, the two highest vote getters, and they're both here tonight. They are State Representative Jason Hughes, a Democrat, and former New Orleans City Councilwoman Cindy Nguyen, also a Democrat. Thank you all both for being here. We have a lot to get to, so we're going to let you make a brief opening statement. We're going alphabetically. So, Mr. Hughes, we start with you.
Well, Travers, thank you very much, and good evening, District E. I'm Jason Hughes. I currently serve as a member of the Louisiana House of Representatives. I'm a lifelong resident of District E. I was born at Methodist Hospital, educated in District E my entire career, mostly in public schools with the exception of Peralt's Kitty College, Mildred Osborne for kindergarten through 8th grade, McDonough 35 for high school, and Southern University at Baton Rouge, where I received my degree in political science. I have 21 years of substantive experience, having served as a senior advisor to a governor, a United States senator, a mayor, and 2 system presidents within the Southern University system. I'm also the former chairman of the New Orleans City Planning Commission. I am running for City Council District E at this consequential time because 20 years post-Katrina, enough is enough. District E, we have not received our fair share of the pie like districts A, B, C, and D. It's our moment, it's our time, it's time for proven leadership, and that's why I'm proud to offer myself at this consequential moment.
All right, thank you. Would it come in under 30 seconds right there, Ms. Nguyen? You have 30 seconds to make an opening statement.
Thank you, Travis. Good evening. I'm Cindy Nguyen, and I am ready to serve you, District E. For the past 4 years, I have reflected and learned from the constituent in District E. I have listened. I am better, and I'm wiser. More importantly, I'm the only candidate standing here with the experience in the City Council. We have unfinished business. I humbly ask for your vote. Let's bring District E back together. Thank you.
Let's start this question off with you. 60 seconds. Six Flags site. A lot going on with it right now. If you are re-elected to the City Council here, what is your plan for the old Six Flags site?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, Travis. And for the past few months, I have been actively working with the owner of Bayou Phoenix, as well as Alvin Ross Studio Jazzland. So there are real plans to make sure that that site does come back, because I listen to the constituent in District E, and they want to see true economic development. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not pausing the work. I've started the work before the election is done. I believe in the community, and we're going to continue to be a thoughtful partner with Alvin Ross Studio, as well as Bayou Phoenix, to make that project into a reality. So in that way, true economic development can actually exist in our community.
All right, same question, Representative Hughes, in 60 seconds. Such a critical part of District E. What would your plan be for the old Six Flags site?
Absolutely, Travers. At the end of the day, the residents want to see the Six Flags site back into commerce. So I look forward to working with the Bayou Phoenix group to ensure that that site gets put back into commerce. And I certainly look forward to inviting the Bayou Phoenix group back to the community to give the community an update on where things stand right now. But Travis, let me just say, it's going to be important that the next city council person be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. While Bayou Phoenix is important and the Six Flags site, Lincoln Beach is just as important as well. Bringing the Plaza site back into commerce is just as important. Bringing the Kenilworth Mall site back into commerce and bringing the grocery store to the lower 9th Ward is important too. We have to ensure that the lower 9th Ward is on our radar. So while focusing on the Six Flags site is important and a priority for our community, we have many priorities that we're going to have to be able to focus on simultaneously. I'm ready to do that, hit that ground running on day one. No training wheels needed with me.
All right, let's go 60 seconds with this question. Since you brought up the lower 9th Ward, let's talk about that. We did a story at the Katrina anniversary. We all know that progress has been slow in the lower 9. About 15,000 people lived there in 2005, just about 4,000 today. In 60 seconds, Representative Hughes, what is your plan? Not just to get business, but to get population back down to the lower 9th Ward?
Absolutely. Great question, Travis. You know, prior to Hurricane Katrina, the lower 9th Ward was always the beacon of black home ownership in New Orleans. And so housing is going to be a key priority for the lower 9th Ward. General Honore has already made it clear that he has a plan to bring affordable housing to the lower 9th Ward. I certainly look forward to partnering with him and working with him, because we do have to grow the population of the lower 9th Ward, not just in terms of home ownership, but renters. Many developers are looking to invest in the lower Ninth Ward, and it's incumbent upon the city to be a partner. And so we're going to have to ensure that the right incentives are in place. Let me also just say I'm very proud of the work that the New Orleans Redevelopment Authority is doing, NORA, under the leadership of Brenda Breaux, and the Board of Commissioners, many of whom live in District E, either the lower Ninth Ward or New Orleans East. The New Orleans Redevelopment Authority is going to be a critical partner as we look to enhance and rebound the lower Ninth Ward. Top priority for me.
All right, 60 seconds, Ms. Wynn, same question, not just development, but getting people back to the lower Ninth Ward. What is your plan?
You know, Travis, we actually started that work when I was in office in 2018, and we tackled those blighted, overgrown lots by creating different initiatives like the mow-to-own, like the lot next door, to ensure that those pieces of property get back into commerce. There was a vision to make sure, like when we built affordable homes in the lower Nine, particularly in the North Claiborne and by back of town, that there's also a playground for our kids, right? And so I allocated funding, $3.5 million for the Richard Lee Playground, to ensure that as we're building affordable homes with our partners with NORA and other local developer, that families are going back to the low Nine. But as you know, the low Nine is facing a challenge right now with the grain train. And so they are fighting that project to make sure that it doesn't happen, because we've been on ground with the community and the Holy Cross as well as the Low Nine to make sure that that doesn't happen, because I truly believe that that's going to cause a delay, a barrier, because I've talked to so many people and people are talking about leaving, and we cannot let that happen. So I'm going to continue to work with the community to make sure that the Lower Nine is repopulated.
Yeah, you're talking about the Holy Cross area. I know
Correct.
the lower Ninth Ward. All right, let's start this question off with you. It's the top of mind for everybody right now. The city is dealing with a $160 million budget shortfall. One of you two who is ever elected will be on the council that's going to have to deal with that. In 60 seconds, Ms. Wynn, what's your plan to help get the budget straight if you take office in 2026?
Yeah, so I could talk about the fact that I was a former member on the budget committee. So we implemented check and balance system that prevented for the city from having any financial distress while I was in office 4 years ago. So I do plan to utilize those tools, very basic skill, to make sure that departments are not overspending and tracking over time. And we did that on a monthly basis. But I also believe that taxpayer deserves transparency and responsible budgeting. And that's what I did when I was in office 4 years ago. And I do plan to do that again, because I was very stickler to make sure that no department exceeded a certain percentage of the budget that was allocated for them, and that we're not wasteful spending, that we're cleaning up our budget, and that money that are there from the taxpayer, that we're using it wisely, and that we could see that actually impacts our community around quality of life and economic development. So I will continue to use my tools and skills and my experience on the budget committee to make sure that what we're facing today doesn't happen again.
All right, same question, Representative Hughes, in 60 seconds. If you're elected and take office in January, what's your plan to fix this budget nightmare?
Travis, at the end of the day, the budget we're at a critical moment when we look at our city's budget, and it's top of mind for all of our residents. I am proud to be the only candidate in this race with very substantive budget experience. In fact, I'm currently the vice chair of the Powerful Appropriations Committee. I'm the only House Democrat at the table negotiating a $50 billion budget, ensuring that it's balanced every year. Travis, just this year, we cut state general fund spending by over $1 billion. But I fought to protect teacher pay, I fought to protect Medicaid, I fought to protect health care and critical services in our budget. I will take the same approach at the city level. We cannot balance the budget on the backs of our taxpayers, who are already stretched too thin, and more people are going to have to put skin in the game. Like the president of Tulane University, who currently pays no property taxes on his $1 million mansion in Audubon Place. If the chancellor of SUNO, Dr. Joseph Bowie, can pay his property taxes on his home, I think it's high time for others to put skin in the game in this fight.
All right, really quickly, let's get a couple of yes/nos here. Yes or no, do you support newly elected Mayor-elect Helena Moreno?
Yes.
Yes
Yes.
or no? Yes. Yes or no, do you support the NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, who Moreno plans to keep? Yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes.
All right. Yes or no, do you support the National Guard coming into the city of New Orleans?
No.
No.
All right. Yes or no, do you support Troop NOLA being here right now in the city of New Orleans?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. That was easy. Got relaxed step on that one. All right, let's talk about another big issue right now since we just talked about crime. We'll start this off with you, Ms. Nguyen. Obviously, the 7th District, there is concerns right now about they don't have enough police officers. You've got the biggest landmass district right now. Do you have a plan in 60 seconds to try and add boots on the ground officers to the NOPD's 7th Police District? And I know I do also understand the 5th Police District does touch parts of District E, but it seems like the 7th is the big one there.
And it is, Travis, and they have a lot of grounds to cover. And one of the things I wanted to point out is that, like I want to just do a shout out for our law enforcement agency. Crime is down. And so we definitely want to give them kudos and really support their efforts. However, you don't want to be complacent. You want to make sure that you are addressing those issues and that our community continue to stay safe. And so when I was in office 4 years ago, we make sure that we support our NOPD by providing the tools that are requested by NOPD. For instance, crime camera, illegal dumping camera. I'm also going to be very instrumental in getting involved with the recruitment. Recently, my daughter actually applied for NOPD, and I'm really excited to share that Alexis will be joining the NOPD Academy in December. And so straight from home, I went through the process with her, so I'm learning about the recruitment process. I believe there's some areas for improvement that we could definitely do, but I've always been out there advocating for people to really join our NOPD. We know that it is a very tall task, and I'm very honored that I'm offering my daughter to support our community in this effort.
Thank you very much. Representative Hughes, same question in 60 seconds. I know the 5th District does touch parts of District E, but the 7th is the big one. Do you have a plan to add any additional officers, or would you push for that if you're elected to office?
Absolutely. Thank you, Travis. And as always, public safety is at the top of everyone's mind in the city of New Orleans, and that includes certainly the residents of District E. Partnerships will matter. And so I look forward to working with the new chancellor of the Southern University at New Orleans, Dr. Joseph Bowie. SUNO has historically had a very robust criminal justice program that put potential NOPD officers in the pipeline. And so I think that will be a great step with SUNO partnering with the NOPD, number one. Number two, we have to look at going back to some of the strategic partnerships that we had post-Katrina. For example, there was a time where the Levee Board Police actually patrolled Hain Boulevard. Could the Harbor Police come in and help patrol in the Lower Ninth Ward? Troop NOLA is on the ground, and so they are focusing on violent crime. We certainly want to continue that partnership with them. And so robust partnerships are going to be critical as we look at and approach public safety in District E. Fully committed to that. We must stay the course.
Same question for both of you all here. We'll start with you, Representative Hughes. The Michoud site, it used to be such an economic engine for the New Orleans East Regional Business Park. If you are elected in 60 seconds, what is your plan to breathe new life back into New Orleans East Regional Business Park and the Michoud site?
Thank you, Travis, for that question. Let me not talk about what I'll do, but let me talk about what I've actually already done. In 2022, I actually became chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Business Park. That board had gone dormant for many years. The board was not in compliance or in commission. And so we reconstituted that board, brought in a phenomenal group of individuals with various expertise, and I had the privilege of chairing that board for 2 years. Over the course of those 2 years, our finances are intact, squeaky clean audits, and earlier this year, in partnership with Secretary of Economic Development, Susie Bourgeois, I actually helped to co-lead a group of business leaders to the Michoud corridor. Some exciting things are happening right now along that corridor. More great announcements to come, but the work is underway and we must stay the course. That site is very much on the radar of the state as well as our new mayor, and it's certainly on my radar.
All right, same question. Ms. Nguyen, in 60 seconds, what's your plan for it's still there, but the Michoud site and New Orleans Regional Business Park there?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, Travis. So in 2018, when I took office, we actually try to reestablish the New Orleans Regional Business Park. I have an appointment on that scene, which I did make the appointment, working with all of the commissioners to really work out those issues in the New Orleans Regional Business Park. However, since I've been gone, I've been working with a manufacturer company that will be opening soon, very soon off of Michoud area, where they're going to be opening an EF block. So economic development for District E has always been a priority for me, and especially the New Orleans Regional Business Park, because I recognize the value and the potential that that site does bring to our community. And it is at my forefront to make sure that we revitalize that area, because it has been sitting decades, way too long, and it is prime for true economic development. So again, It is going to be top of my priority, working with, I believe, the new chairman of the Regional Business Park, Otis Tucker, to bring that back into life.
All right, let's start this question with you. What's your plan for areas along Chef Highway, the areas near Village de l'Est and Michoud? Do you have a plan for that corridor right there in 60 seconds?
Yeah, so that is actually in the back of my neighborhood. So I live in Michoud, and just like every community, every neighborhood in District E matters to me, particularly for this question. We are looking to revitalize Chef, working with the Louisiana Department of Transportation to basically beautify the area. You know, it goes all the way to Venetia now, and so we can't forget about our families back there, but really growing that community, looking at zoning in reference to what can we bring there to really lift the community. I know that the Vietnamese community has been there for 50 years now, and we definitely want to engage them into the partnership to how we can revitalize Chef to bring growth to the area. And then not only that, but to lift the community, because down the street from it, you're going to have the Bayou Phoenix project that I believe that is actually going to play a major role in really true economic development and addressing a lot of the illegal dumping that takes place out there as well.
All right, Representative Hughes, same question for you in 60 seconds. What's your plan for the Chef Highway corridor, especially right there near Village de l'Est and the Michoud area?
Absolutely. Well, when we look at, Traverse, the entire Chef Mentor Highway corridor that's located within District E, we see tremendous potential. In fact, we actually see some bright spots going on right now. Right now, at the corner of Chef and Crowder, for example, you see a multi-million-dollar investment taking place. At the corner of Chef and Reed, you see a new O'Reilly Auto Parts store coming to that corridor. So businesses are investing. However, we must continue to clean up the corridor. Code enforcement is going to play a key role, and that's why it's important that we continue to overhaul code enforcement, properly invest in code enforcement, and ensure the necessary accountability. And as you get down the Chef corridor towards St. Mary's and closer to Dowman, Traverse, we're going to have an honest conversation as a community. Unfortunately, there's some behavior taking place along the Chef corridor that would not be allowed in any other community in our city. And so we're going to have to be more intensive about keeping our community beautiful and family friendly.
Let's start this question with you. I'm going to go through all of them here. Oliver Thomas, Cindy Wynn, James Gray, John Johnson, Cynthia Willard-Lewis. I think that goes back about 20 years with District E council members. There unfortunately sometimes is a stigma with New Orleans East. Oliver Thomas brought it up this past election cycle. If you are elected to office in 60 seconds, how do you break this stigma that is perceived with New Orleans East or District E that, hey, there's just not a lot of progress there? What's your plan in essence in 60 seconds to try to change the story about New Orleans East?
Travis, that's a great question. As I've said along this campaign trail, and as I've said for the last 6 years as the state representative, District E does not have a crime problem. District E does not have a people problem. District E has an image problem. So there's a couple things that I will look to tackle aggressively. Number one, I see myself as the chief ambassador for District E for the New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward. Commercial blight continues to plague New Orleans East in particular. As you ride the I-10 corridor, you see a blighted building on Plaza Drive that's been there for years that should have been torn down a long time ago. You see the former Eastlake Plaza site with signs that were blown out on August 29, 2005 that still remain blown out and blighted. And so cleaning up our image will be a key piece of this puzzle. But Travis, I certainly look forward to partnering with the media because unfortunately the media sometimes just doesn't get it right. They lump New Orleans East in a bucket when anything happens, and that creates and continues into the negative stigma of New Orleans East and District E.
All right, same question. Ms. Wynn, what would be your plan if reelected to try to change the stigma about New Orleans East?
And you know, we started that work in 2018 because I recognized that there was a perception about the East, and those perceptions are not real at all. And again, you know, we worked and passed a resolution to address how the media was portraying New Orleans East. And then we started working on blighted property. You know, the Caveman Hotel by the high-rise. We tackled that in my term in office. Then we also tackled the Lake Forest Senior Manor when I was in office. So it was not just about marketing or tackling, but really making real changes in our community. So in that way, when people are driving by on the I-10, they could see that the community is thriving. We had a number of commercial blighted property that was an eyesore for us. And we still have more. My time was cut short. I was determined to make sure that we address all those commercial property, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running again, because I recognize that there's growth in our community, not just in the East, in the Low 9 as well, and we just did not have enough time. So making sure that we do attract those issues will be a critical part for me.
Speaking of time, we have a lot more to get to here, but we are unfortunately out of time. So we are going to give you all a chance, 30 seconds to make a closing statement to let people know why you feel you're the best candidate. We're going to go reverse alphabetical. So Ms. Nguyen, you get to start us off here for 30 seconds.
So the fact is District E deserves experienced, result-driven leadership. I have a proven record of manifesting vision into reality and action by bringing true economic development to the district. My approach is hands-on, from tackling blight to supporting emerging businesses. My campaign isn't about politics. It is about the people of District E. Together, let's restore trust, create opportunity, and make District E a stronger, inclusive, and more prosperous community. I humbly ask for your vote, number 55, on your ballot. Thank you, Travis, and thank you, District E.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. Representative Hughes, you have 30 seconds to wrap us up.
Thank you, Travers. And once again, let me thank the extraordinary residents of District E for tuning in tonight. I'm Jason Hughes, number 50 on the ballot. Some of you may not know my name, but you most certainly know my work. I'm not known for being a show horse because I'm a workhorse. And for the past 6 years in the legislature, I have rolled up my sleeves, my head has been buried, delivering results for the citizens of District 100. Over $4 million for New Orleans East Hospital, $5 million for a new STEM Innovation Center, over $1 million invested into NORD and our youth, $500 million for Lincoln Beach, and the list goes on. I look forward to change for District E.
All right. Jason Hughes, Cindy Nguyen, thank you all very much. Obviously, Election Day is fast approaching. Early voting does start a week from now on November 1st. That's all the time that we have. I'm Travers Mackel. You can see this entire segment of The Hot Seat Monday morning on WDSU.com.